Welcome into Double T Insider. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Taylor Peters alongside Robert Giovanetti as Texas Tech hosted Kentucky on Saturday. It truly was one of the premier games in all of college basketball, Gio, and those two teams certainly gave the fans quite a show here.
Yeah, not the ending that any of us wanted, but when you look back on it, I've watched the game since then. That was a big-time college basketball game and the kind of game that gets you ready for March.
And Davide Moretti and Kyler Edwards would certainly put in some overtime minutes there, 44 minutes apiece, and they would both share 33 points. I mean, the two of them are just really foundational to this team, and we talk about it a lot, but they were really big in that game.
Well, the two guys that were part of that national championship game run last year, and guys you got to count on. Kyler has really, since start of January, really has turned it on offensively, and a guy you can really count on now to get you a big bucket when you need it.
You talk about Kyler, I mean, after the game, they're doing the Matador song, and he's got the towel over his head. I mean, the team was really affected by that overtime loss to Kentucky, but at the end of the day, they may not be thinking about the moral victories, but we can certainly talk about it here on the show. That was a lot of fight in that game, and I think it taught them a lot.
That's a tough team for them to match up against. They're Kentucky, very long, very athletic, very kind of, we know we're a little bit smaller. Texas Tech's a little bit smaller team. Coach Beard said it afterwards. Look, played in the national championship game last year. We're not about moral victories here, but you're right. The fight that this team showed, the fact that they came back, I think bodes well for the rest of the conference season.
Speaking of coaches post-game, Coach Calipari gave the Texas Tech fans a lot of credit too, which I think speaks a lot, because if he's going to come in here and say that was an amazing atmosphere, that does a lot for college basketball, and the fans were respectful, that says a lot, because that's somebody who's been in a lot of big moment games.
There's no he's in the top 5 of college coaches as far as reputation, wins, all those things. And so for him to come in and say that, and think of all the places he's been, and he actually said at his post-game press conference, look, there's some places we won't go back because we don't like the way the fans are. But he loved the fans. We've gotten actually a couple of letters from Kentucky people saying they were treated better here than any place that they've ever been. That's a testament to our security, our facility staff, the arena people here at Texas Tech. It was really again, except for the win, it was a great afternoon. I think Texas Tech won the day.
Absolutely, and we've talked so much about really the experience and the players like Davide and Kyler, but can we just talk about Big Russ for a second? I mean, my goodness.
You know, I happened to go to the shoot-around that morning to watch, and I saw Russ getting a lot of action there in the shoot-around, and I thought, I wonder if we'll see him much in the game, and he came out and made an impact. And the other thing with Russ is it really inspires his teammates when he does something. It really fires them up as well.
Yeah, they really kind of rally around that 7-foot freshman who made certainly an appearance in that Kentucky game. Meanwhile, the Lady Raider basketball team would go on the road and face off against a really, really good Baylor team and lose by just 8 points. I mean, when you talk about moral victories, you got to really give the credit to the Lady Raiders, who were down at the half by 7 and would just lose by 8 points.
You know, Coach Marlene is trying to build something here, and that's not a game that it's not probably realistic to go in there and expect to win just because of where Baylor is and where you are as a program. But you can build on some things, and I certainly think after what they went through Saturday, that's something that she can come back and say, Look what we've done, and let's grow from here.
We talk about a big two like Lauren Cox, who realistically is a top 5 player in college women's basketball. And for Brittany Brewer to have arguably her best game of the year with 22 points, 1 block, 9 rebounds, that is a major statement for somebody like Brittany.
Yeah, their bigs are very difficult. Brittany has played obviously on the biggest of stages with Team USA, and it showed. She's a leader of this team, and it showed. And this is a team that poised to make some kind of a postseason run, whether it be the WNIT or make it the NCAA.
And they would hand Baylor, I mean, the closest, most competitive game of the year. I mean, no team has scored that many points against the Lady Bears. So really credit to Coach Marlene and that Lady Raider team, and they'll jump back in and continue conference play this weekend. Finally, Texas Tech track and field with a really exciting weekend here at home with another few program records. And Ruth was really spectacular in the triple jump. She set a school record in only her 2nd meet. I mean, you and I have talked about her a little bit on the show, and Coach Thomas has credited just the elite level that she can compete at here.
You know, I was actually talking to somebody, a coach from one of the other schools the other day, and they're talking about her and just, wow, just what she could possibly do, and just her attitude and her work ethic.
And that's, again, too, to mention this is only her 2nd meet. I mean, she was born in Nigeria, and she competed at South Plains for the last couple of years. I mean, this is the biggest stage that she's really ever competed on, and so that says a lot. But how about Gabe Oladipo, somebody that we've talked about over and over again on the show, and we'll continue to talk about him. He set a school record in the weight throw by 2 feet. That's a lot.
Yeah, when normally you see those records broke, you don't see them broke by that much. Usually it's just by a much smaller amount, but a lot. Again, we're talking about the second meet of the year for some of these guys, for all these guys. So it's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, and Texas Tech track and field with a really exciting weekend coming up. A lot of really competitive teams will be here in Lubbock. So good luck to Texas Tech track and field. Coming up next on Double T Insider, we relive that exciting game as Texas Tech hosted Kentucky on Saturday.
You guys want some pizza? Yeah. Come on, let's go.
Thank you.
Are y'all good? Y'all gonna spend the night?
Yes.
All right. Y'all stay warm.
Thank you.
What's up, guys? Y'all want some pizza?
Yes, please.
Come on. Oh, you already got some. Some more. Come on. Y'all want some pizza? Y'all staying warm in there?
Yeah.
It's not working. Here we go. All right, here. Look, y'all just take that. How's that right there? Thank you. All right, you're welcome, people. Come on, Texans. Y'all had a good year. Here you go.
Appreciate it.
All right, you're welcome.
Hey, I went to every home game, so like,
Appreciate
here we
it.
go.
Appreciate
I'm a fan right here. We just gotta win a lot.
We
okay?
will.
Hey,
We got seven.
I'm counting
We got
on it.
seven.
I'm
Seven
count-
home games next year.
Okay, I'm counting on it. I
right,
got
bro.
you.
Welcome back into Double T Insider. Saturday truly was an incredible turnout for the fans, the students, and actually it started 3 days before the game actually took place on Thursday. You got students outside of the arena camping out starting at sunrise. I mean, that just says a lot too about the growth of really Raider Riot and the student section too.
It was funny, on Thursday we were just going out to look at some of the logistics for the lines and everything, and there's kids getting ready to camp out on Thursday, and I thought, wow, this is really showing where this program has come and where it's going, and the students have really been a big part of the atmosphere we built at the United Supermarkets Arena.
I mean, that was the most expensive ticket in all of sports over the weekend too, and that Texas Tech team proved why.
They are so much looking forward to taking on the Wildcats of Kentucky, a team that is perhaps playing its best basketball of the year. And the Texas Tech Red Raiders, of course, a Final Four national champion runner-up.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to United Supermarkets Arena, the site of the biggest college basketball game this Saturday has to offer.
You know, you bring out the best in people. This was a classy crowd, and they were all over it for their team. That's the way this should be.
Been waiting a long time on this one, and tonight they've got it. Kentucky and Texas Tech coming up.
And on the shot clock, Edwards contested free, but he rattles it in.
Edwards for three, yes sir!
That can help. Edwards knocks down his second three.
Olin by Shannon, he ducks it! High-level throwdown for TJ Shannon.
There's a steal, the run out, and the dunk.
Edwards laid it off the Chua, and he scores again.
Bucket here, and this place will go bonkers. Good pass. Richards off his feet. There's your bucket. Ready, fires a three. He hits the net. Texas Tech needs points. Tough shot there and a good one. That's a two.
Tech down by two. Ready drives. Hands it off. Layup good. At the basket.
up to Richards, and that'll do it.
Kentucky gets the win on the road.
The Red Raiders will jump back into Big 12 play tonight, hosting West Virginia. Still to come on Double T Insider, we feature a newcomer who's making waves for the Lady Raider basketball team.
He's a West Texas native who donned the scarlet and black on the football field in the late 1950s. The two-year letter winner earned a bachelor's degree in education before graduating from medical school. As an orthopedic surgeon, he served the Amarillo community for nearly 3 decades, never forgetting his ties to Texas Tech. He's been a member of the Board of Regents and the Chancellor's Council. But Dr. Bob Stafford's proudest achievement is family. These are the real people of Texas Tech.
So you learn something every time you go out. As the Lady Raiders closed with a 3, now Gordon needs to go in. It does. Lexi Gordon gives the Lady Raiders all kinds of life here to begin the 4th quarter.
Welcome back into Double T Insider. You know, Coach Marlene and her staff, when they were looking at bringing in Lexi Gordon from UConn, she looks great on paper. And then you get her in and she's able to kind of start interacting with her teammates. And she is more than this coaching staff could have even expected.
The thing that when I watch her, I think she's so smooth. Right? She's effortless. The way I know she's playing hard, but it seems like she's got a way about her. You see that a lot of great players. They don't seem like they're doing a lot, and you look up and they've got a double-double or something. And so, and she's just going to get better.
Absolutely, and she's good on the court. She's a great leader for this team. I think that Coach Marlene and her staff could be really even more impressed with the fact that she's able to really help build this culture. I mean, she is a game changer. She's a culture developer. She is already making a major difference for this team, and she'll continue to do that.
You see, you don't see it in public unless you go to practice, see it practice, but she is a leader. She's vocal when she needs to be. That you can tell that her teammates respect her and look up to her.
Already making a big wave for the Lady Raider basketball team, and Lexi Gordon is just getting started.
She's just a hard worker, and you can tell that from the way she plays.
Gordon, corner 3, yes ma'am! Down with the left hand around her man, left-handed layup good. Lexi with her first points of the night.
The people that make it far in the postseason are the teams that are glued together and they have their mind focused on one goal, and that's to win.
The thing about her, she's a competitor. She wants to win the game. You know, I couldn't give her less than an A. When you're talking about someone who's played in her first really legitimate college minutes ever, and her performances have been tremendous.
On top, bounce pass deflected, a steal by Gordon, gets it out to Cece, ahead of the pack, lays it in!
I feel like I can be counted on by my teammates and my coaches, so just being able to be depended on is a huge thing for me. I feel like I am a good teammate. I can celebrate my teammates that are doing well. Even if I'm not scoring the ball, I want my other teammates to score and shoot. It's really important to have my family around when I can play. It's just amazing to have them here. You know, I just got a little baby brother, and it's amazing to see him as much as possible. And I just think just having my family is like an extra boost of wow, like this is who I play for, and I want to make them proud as well.
And maybe one of the things I like most about Lexi is the fact that it doesn't matter how she played in a game, if they're able to get the win, she's going to be the first one to be celebrating with her teammates in the locker room.
Yeah, you watch her on the sideline when she's not in the game. She's waving the towel. She's encouraging her teammates. She's talking to her teammates when they come off the floor. You just can't buy that kind of experience and leadership from a player.
Lady Raider basketball continuing Big 12 play this weekend at home. Coming up next on Double T Insider, we're talking Texas Tech tennis. We'll be right back. Welcome back into Double T Insider. I'm so excited to be joined here on set by women's tennis head coach Todd Petty. Coach, you guys have already had a chance to kind of get rolling here. You're 1-1. What's maybe the most exciting and important thing that you've been able to see from your team as you really get going here?
Just their growth. This is a really fun team to work with. I think as coaches, you know, it makes your life easier when you're excited to come to work every day and work with the student athletes that you have on our team. And this is a great group. This reminds me of some of our better groups, just the makeup, their personality, the work ethic, their core values. This team's going to be special. It's going to take a while, but this group is a lot of fun to go to work with every day.
You mentioned it maybe will take a while, and that's because your group is so young. You've got 3 freshmen and 3 sophomores, and your number 1, Marguerite, is in fact a freshman. I mean, what have you seen just from the way that they've kind of been able to really get to know this level and be able to kind of compete against other teams that are playing some good tennis right now?
Yeah, going to a national indoors last weekend with that young of a group, you don't really know what to expect. And so to see them compete at a high level against LSU, even though we came up a little short, we were within about 10 minutes of winning that dual match, and to see them come together at the big times and the big moments and have a shot to win that, it just shows their growth so early in season. And then, be able to respond with the big win against Iowa, 4-1, I think just shows their resiliency to bounce back. And so, this team is going to get better as the season progresses, but they come together, they play hard for each other. Our saying is you never walk alone, and this group has really bought into that concept. And so they play hard for each other every day, and there's no complaining, and they want to be coached hard.
And you talk about really being bought into that concept. I mean, that really is kind of what culture is. And so when you're able to kind of get a young group and they're growing together, they're growing a lot, and they will continue to for the next couple of years. How important is that, just to be able to kind of have a group like that that's so willing to kind of be selfless and to sort of become, who they need to be to make this sort of work like clockwork?
Right. I mean, I think it's priceless. I mean, I think at the end of the day, you have to have a group that is gonna be able to win those 50-50 matches, and what's going to be able to separate them. And I think those core values and the ability to play hard for each other, and we're not going to win on talent alone here. We never have been able to, but we've been able to win those tight 50-50 matches just with the grit and a little bit of toughness, and be able to scrape through and get some of those big wins. And so a lot of that is the unselfishness and the ability to play hard for one another. And that's something we've always been able to get a lot out of our players, and this group, credit to them, buys into that tenfold.
Well, Coach, we're excited about this group and excited to see what they're able to do this year and in the future.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We'll be right back on Double T Insider. Welcome back into Double T Insider. A really exciting meet coming up for Texas Tech Track and Field as they host the Texas Tech Invitational, a 3-day meet Thursday through Saturday. Ticket information available at texastech.com. Meanwhile, the Lady Raiders hosting Oklahoma State. You can watch that game Saturday at 3 o'clock right here on Fox Sports Southwest before heading off on the road to face off against Kansas State Wednesday at 6:30.
As Taylor mentioned earlier, Texas Tech men's basketball home tonight against West Virginia. That game tips at 7, and then they go on the road to Lawrence, Kansas to play the Jayhawks. That game will tip at 3.
That's all of our time for now. Thanks so much for being with us today on Double T Insider. For Robert Giovanetti, I'm Taylor Peters. We'll see you next week. And if you missed any part of today's show, head on over to texastech.com or download the Texas Tech TV app on Apple TV and Roku.
This has been a presentation from Learfield IMG College.